Welcome back to the mining investment event of the North. We're with Russell Bradford of Aston, and welcome to Quebec City.
It's great to be here. I mean, the weather's changed a bit since the weekend, but it's a lovely city.
Wasn't it gorgeous yesterday? You told me you walked down to the waterfront, had a phenomenal meal.
So good. Nice to get a suntan in Quebec.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great? Let's talk a little bit about Aston. We had a great conversation yesterday, and for investors, the opportunity to look at a project like this is far and few between. So give us an idea about Aston, about the project in general, and we'll go from there.
Well, look, I was introduced to this project last year at PDAC. My previous experience, I've worked globally around the world, been involved with over $10 billion worth of projects that we've developed and sold on, particularly in nickel. We looked at this project as a group, and it had over 30,000 meters of drilling already done, so a defined resource, which is great. It's got a good foundation. It's in Timmins, which is a fantastic place to operate. It's I compare it to Kalgoorlie, but it's 5 times the size, right? It's huge. And there's some of the biggest mines in Canada are left and right of where we are. We're 50k south of Timmins. So the infrastructure's there, there's power, there's people, there's roads, so there's good infrastructure in that area. We've got 2 First Nation groups on our property. We've got agreements in place, which is a big tick in the box when we did our due diligence. As I say, we're in Timmins, so, I think what I see from the meetings I've had with the First Nations group, Matachewan and Matogami, they understand mining, they get what we have to do. We've got to crack eggs to make this thing an omelette as such. So I'm very happy with that, that's all in place. And, it's in Canada, and Canada's like Australia. It gets mining, it's nickel, it's a critical mineral. So we know that we're in a space where there's focus, there's support from governments, local, regional and federal. So we took this on board, and so I've been in the job now for 10 months. We went and raised $11 million in July. We did some infill drilling last year. They were announced. We've increased our indicated resource now. We've got over 600,000 tons of nickel in indicated resource. We've got over 3 million tons of nickel sitting on the deposit. So this is a big system. It's a big structure. So I think Aston is in the right space at the right time. And I think that it's a project with our experience. We know when to do what. And that's what we're busy doing now at the moment.
One of the things that really impressed me yesterday, Russell, is that you've done this a long time. It's it's a huge passion for you. You came out of retirement, not out of necessity, but out of the love for the work, and you're super hands-on. You're an Australian. That's where that's where you built your career, but now you are an immigrant here in Canada. Welcome to Toronto.
Thank you. You go through projects and you get to a point where if you've got a boy or a girl, right? And it gets to a point where you say, well, we've got to commit to this thing now. And as a board, we discussed it, and I looked at this. It's a Canadian project, and to try and run something like this, as big as it is, in Australia is difficult. So my wife and I have moved over. We're based in Toronto now, and I think that's a big commitment. And to be honest with you, if we weren't at a point technically that I felt that it was going to be a project, we would never have done this. So yeah, there's a commitment from me that I'm moving here now. I'm making friends. I'm understanding how it all works. We'll be, applying for, the various types of funding and getting to understand, EPCM contractors and drillers and all these things. But yeah, look, it's no different to anywhere in the world. It's just a way you've got to do these things. And I think that's important because, you need to spend shareholders' money at the right appropriate time. So being here, being hands-on, you can manage the purse, right?
Absolutely. And when you were talking yesterday about managing the purse, the other thing that really impressed me was the size of your team and what actually goes in from investor funds basically into running this company at the present moment, given where it's at. So let's talk about the rest of the team, if you will.
Well, I've got access to a team. We've worked together for over 25 years. The chairman of the company, Peter Breeze, I've worked with Peter. He's been a mentor to me. We've done, lots of projects, Lionel, Mantra, Asenco. These have all been TSX listed companies. So people in Toronto and Canada know these companies. We've built mines, developed mines, done all the feasibility work. The rest of the guys, I've got Carl and Rob here in Ontario, my First Nations manager and my ops manager, and then the study team when it's appropriate to bring them on board. These are guys who build mines, develop mines, and run mines, right? So, and this is the same formula we've used for all the previous things we've done. So, I'm feeling very fortunate that I'm surrounded by good quality people.
I want to clarify for the investor. These people are there, and you have access, and yet they don't sit there on the payroll.
No, there's no. So. It's interesting because I'm up for the 10-year award because there's only me. I'm the employee.
You're an employee of the year every year.
Yeah, I'm employee of the year. In fact, and the month. So we don't have an office. Our G&A costs we keep low. I mean, honestly, one of the reasons why I moved here because it's actually cheaper to stay here than keep flying from Australia, on a 6-week, 2-month basis. So. Our G&A's low. There's only me on the payroll. Obviously, there's consultants as we do work, so they come in and out. But as we grow and develop, then we'll start bringing more people on board, and they'll all be technical people as well, right? We don't need to have cast thousands.
So you're in one of the proven and most mining-friendly jurisdictions in Canada, which makes it one of the most proven and friendly jurisdictions in the world. You have a proven resource, you have a very low cash burn, and you're well funded. Your team, your access to a team is like world class. What else does this project have that allows that gives it the runway necessary to get to where you need it to get?
Well, look, I mean, our last quarterly we had over 5 million in the bank. We're fortunate that we have a gold deposit on our property as well, a 1.5 million ounce gold deposit. We're on the Cadillac Larder Fault. So Cote is just 40 k's down the road, and we've got Young Davidson and all these gold mines.
So you don't need any processing, nothing.
So we could literally mine that and ship that ore and send it down to one of the mills. Look, I've been very open about the gold. When we came on board, we predominantly came on board to develop the nickel. So we're, looking at a process where we're going to try and monetize this gold. I think that's important. It'll be non-dilutive, $15 an ounce. We've got 1.5 million ounces of gram per ton. Potentially there's $20 million. We get that, then that's going to keep us drilling for the next, 2 years. We don't need to drill now. We've got enough nickel we can poke a stick at. We did the infill drilling last year, so it's quality drilling. This year, there's no drilling. We don't need to drill. If I gave the geologists a drill today, they wouldn't know where to drill. We have to do all this metallurgical development work. We've got a flow sheet now, so we've announced our flow sheet. It's a crush mill float, standard nickel sulfide flotation circuit. And that's essentially now going to be fixed, and all of the core that we've collected from last year's drilling is going to be processed through that, and then we'll see what comes out the other side. That's important because then we go back to the ore body, and then we map, and then we say, well, that's where we need to drill next year. And running on top of that is this process of selling the gold, monetize that, and then there's plenty of funds for the drilling next year. Saying that, with 5 million in the bank, our burn rate is very low. We'll have more than $3 million in the bank by the end of the year, so we're okay for money. If there's going to be no raise, we don't need to do that.
Excellent. So there's no raises. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, which is a larger topic. You've been around long enough to hear new terminologies come, such as ESG. But the one that's really, really, I guess, the top of mind right now for most investors is critical minerals. So tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you, having seen other mines at other times, and what's the difference now with this little phrase, critical minerals?
Well, it's interesting, and in our deck we talk about it because, the nickel industry in Australia has been hit hard. BHP announced they're doing a review of their business. That's a big nickel business. And then you've got all these smaller mines, and a few have closed down. So let's just take what's happened in the world. Well, China has gone to Indonesia with bags of money, and they've said, we need guarantee of supply of nickel.
They're buying the future.
That's how we can get into this EV space, right? We need to guarantee supply. And they've done a good job. They've built these smelters, process facilities, and now Indonesia's, supplying over 50% of the world's nickel. That's a known fact, right? That's just everybody knows that. So that's put the spruiks on everybody on nickel, right? It's almost getting like a scenario with Cobalt with
exactly.
the DRC.
Exactly.
They just provide everything, right? So, but then you look
with Chinese money.
Yeah, with China. Yeah. But then you look at North America, and I hear what Ontario's doing. I look at the IRA Act coming out of America, and I was at the BEV conference last week in Sudbury, and you hear car manufacturers, you hear government officials talking about guarantee of supply from North America.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. And I think the Ontario government, I'm learning a lot of this, but it's been very quick to realize that they are right behind mining companies like ourselves. They want to...
Well, it definitely since, at least since the Ukrainian war, and now with the challenges in the Middle East and whatnot, apart from being a critical mineral for decarbonization, it's become a national defense issue for a lot of the Western nations as well, because we were relying on shaky supply.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the world's changed, and the world does change, so we have to adapt. And I think I look at our project, and again, when we did our DD on this, we said we're in Canada, and we know that Canada's going to be front and center of supplying critical minerals to the world. And we're in this space where it's batteries, automotive industry. We're in Ontario, North America. America doesn't have what Canada's got in terms of raw material. So we see a project like this supplying, being part of this entire new way of thinking. Look, you saw the tariffs being implemented on cars and batteries coming from China. The Biden 3 weeks ago, administration said like 100%, like big numbers. So already you can see this is not talk. It's happening.
Yeah.
So I just look at this project and I say, look, all these projects take time, and you have to do the right work at the right time. So, investors need to realize that. But you're dealing with a team who's done it before. We understand when to spend the money at what point in time. But I think if you look at the support behind us and the people sweeping the road in front of us, we're in a good spot. And nickel, it's a lot of people say nickel's like the new uranium, right?
It is.
So
totally.
So yeah, I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah. So let's finish with that. Let's talk about the nickel market a little bit, and maybe a little bit about the share structure that exists today that you guys have, so that the investor has an idea of what's available to them.
Well, I think the nickel market, there's been a doomsday scenario at the start of the year. There's going to be over 200,000, 250,000 surplus in nickel. So nickel went down to $7 something a pound. Our share price has dropped accordingly. We very linked to the nickel price. It's flanned off. In fact, we've increased by about 80% over the last 2 weeks. So we were down at 11 cents. We went to 19 cents. We're back at 16 cents today. And I think there's an investor that's looking at Aston saying, hold on a minute, this is a company with a large nickel deposit, 22 million market cap, a fantastic management team, in a great address, good resource, and a commodity that's going to be front and center of supply into this EV space. Nickel's not going away.
No.
It's not going away. So So I would say to any person watching this now and potential thinking about investing in this company, you know, you're dealing with a team that knows what to do. You know, we've got Peter and Tolga and Rob on our board. These are 3 senior executives who have developed and managed and, you know, developed financially big mining companies. So we've got good experience, and I think that's important. That's important for me. It's a good soundboard for me, but I've done it as well, you know, on a number of occasions with various people around the world. And I just look at the support we're getting from the Ontario government and the federal government. We're in a really good space. You know, often we sit with these projects and we say, well, how are we going to convince this guy? And how are we going to do this? And, you know, we need to cut a runway to get there. You know, we've got to put some sewage in, and we've got to put some tents where the guys are going to live. This is not like that.
You're just riding the wave.
It's just everything's there, and we're in a good spot. So I'm very positive about it all. Yeah. That's
great. Russell, it's been such a pleasure to have you. We can't wait to hear in the fall, you know, where things are at. I'm sure we're going to meet again. And our investors are, I'm sure, going to be happy to take a look. I want to close with this. For me, this is the kind of investment within the junior mining space that I would consider conservative in a highly risky investment environment. And super excited to see where it comes. Welcome to Canada. It's awesome to have you here.
Thanks.
You're an asset to us, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Lovely. Thanks for the chat.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Russell.